Clover is one of those weeds that people have in their lawns all across the country. There are a lot of different kinds of clover, and although you can't really see it very well from this far away, but I have burr clover on that section of my yard and truly a little bit everywhere. Because so many people out there don't want to have clover in their lawn, it's really common for people to attempt to kill it off out of their yards. And a lot of times the same people have the same battle year in and year out, always trying to fight back the clover, but never quite getting rid of it all. And in my opinion, most people aren't getting rid of it all because they're using the wrong product. Although many products that you find on the store shelves, the big box stores, say that they will kill or control clover, the thing to keep in mind is there are some herbicides that kill clover a lot better than others. If you literally want to get rid of the clover out of your lawn for good, forever, then this is how you do it. Or at least this is how I'm going to be doing it. The vast majority of store-bought herbicides contain 2,4-D as an ingredient on their label. Here's an example of a label. This is a 3-way herbicide. It contains 2,4-D as its majority active ingredient, along with MCPA and dicamba. 2,4-D is the herbicide that you would put on your lawn to kill weeds and not kill the clover. So the 2,4-D is not going to work. Any herbicide that you happen to have in your garage or that you're looking to buy in a store, if it contains 2,4-D in it, it's most likely going to work a little bit on the clover. It might look like it's dying, but it's probably not going to die forever. Before I show you the ingredients that I'm using, I want you to see the actual patch of grass that I'm dealing with. This is relatively new Kentucky bluegrass coming out of winter, starting to warm up, starting to wake up, starting to grow. And in this grass, there is clover all over the place. Here's one that's starting to go to flower and seed already. This is what we call burr clover, or California burr clover. Like I said, there's many different kinds of clover. Your variety may be different from mine, but it's all basically clover, a legume. They're in the same family. To kill clover off for good, you actually want to let your clover, let your grass, let your lawn grow up a little bit. Let those clover leaves expand. Actually let the plant grow for a bit, because when we put herbicides down, they get absorbed through the leaf material. You never want to cut your grass and then mix up the herbicide to spray it on the weed. If you do that, you're severely limiting the weed's ability to take up that herbicide and die. Now that clover that I've got there in the lawn is obvious. It's obviously there. But I have a second patch of clover that I've been allowing to get crazy big just for the demonstration, just for the dramatic reveal that's going to happen later in this video. Because in this video, I'm going to spray this clover and my other experimental patch and then wait for everything to die so that I can show you exactly how effective this method is. Let's go take a look at the patch. All right, main lawn. In case you're wondering, this is annual ryegrass or winter rye. There is Bermuda grass underneath, slowly coming out of dormancy. In this lawn space, there is clover. You don't see the flowers because I keep mowing them down. I'm not going to be putting this mixture on this lawn because the products that I'm using, which I got over there, will kill Bermuda grass, or at least it will severely damage the Bermuda grass. That's something I don't want to do. So I'm only going to be putting it on the Kentucky bluegrass over there and my patch, my gigantic patch of burr clover way over here on the end of my parkway strip. I'm sure all of my neighbors have been very annoyed with me letting this grow like crazy because the sidewalk is closing in on itself. But look at all of this. There's a variety of weeds in here, not just burr clover, but it is mostly burr clover. All those little burrs, the seed heads are inside that. And those are, they're burrs. They're sticky. They'll stick to dog's paws or your clothes. They're scratchy. You don't want this stuff. Look how deep everything is here. This is a wild patch of clover. Roughly 250 square feet. And you could tell where I killed things off prior. Right here. This is the effects of applying a post-emergent herbicide right here. And this is what happens if you don't do it. All right, so what are these two herbicides that I'm going to be putting down? two specific active ingredients. I'm purchasing two products independent of each other, and then I'm going to mix them together in a tank sprayer for spot spraying these areas. Suppose you could put it into a larger backpack sprayer and spray your entire lawn down if you had the correct grass types, or the grass types that you could apply this mixture to. What we're going to be applying is quinclorac. Quinclorac is well known for its post-emergent effect on killing crabgrass, but it's also one of the best post-emergent herbicides for effectively killing clover. If you were using quinclorac all by itself, you would mix it in your tank with a surfactant. Although, using quinclorac all by itself, a better surfactant would be methylated seed oil as opposed to this non-ionic surfactant. I'm going to use the non-ionic surfactant because I'm going to be tank mixing in triclopyr. This is an ester formulation. Ester formulations of triclopyr work better in cooler weather. So if you're applying in earlier spring and temperatures are in that 70 degree range, 65 to 70 degree range, this is going to work better. Triclopyr is the product that's going to damage Bermuda grass and kikuyu grass. I believe you also wouldn't want to be using this on St. Augustine or centipede grass, maybe bahia grass. I'll put a list on the screen of grass types that I wouldn't apply this cocktail to. But both quinclorac and triclopyr are your best herbicidal options for complete and utter destruction of clover in a lawn. Mix them together and the death blow is even stronger. Now I do also have this other quinclorac. This is a fancier version of quinclorac. I'm going to reserve the use of this most likely for crabgrass if I have some later in the year. Normal, plain Jane, regular old quinclorac is going to work just fine. As is always the case, you should, whenever possible, protect yourself. So I'm going to be using some rubber boots here. I'm wearing long pants. I've got my long sleeve. This orange shirt is my spray shirt. So whenever I spray herbicides, I wear this shirt. I'm going to be putting on rubber gloves, and I'm also going to be putting a mask on my face. Everything is precautionary. I don't want to injure myself after all. When spraying your lawn, you really need to know the exact shape, or not shape, but the exact square footage, the size of your area that you're spraying. That way you can mix up the correct amount of product. The two areas of my lawn combined equal 496 square feet by my calculations. So I'm going to call that 500 square feet. So I'm going to read these labels and calculate how much of each product I need for 1,000 square feet for my particular scenario. Your scenario will be different. And then I'm going to cut it in half because I'm only spraying on 500, not 1,000 square feet. This is very simple math. I'm sure that if you read the label, you can figure out exactly how much of each product you need for your scenario. All of the information is written right on the label of these products. And if you get some other form of quinclorac or triclopyr, the label for those products should make it just as simple to do these calculations yourself. For me, the products that I'm using in the exact scenario, this is all I really had to do to figure out what I was putting down. That's my source of triclopyr. The label says 1 quart per acre. Well, a quart is 32 ounces, an acre is 43.5 thousand square feet. 32 divided by 43.5 gives you 0.75 ounces per 1,000 square feet. I'm going to cut that in half because I'm only spraying on 500 square feet. The label of my quinclorac bottle tells me straight out 1.45 ounces for 1,000 square feet. I'm going to cut that in half because I'm only doing 500 square feet. For surfactant, I'm going to be putting down half of an ounce per 1,000 square feet. It'll end up being 0.25 for this 500 square foot application. Before I mix this sort of stuff, I actually have started kind of like a collection of these little garage fertilizer and herbicide measuring cups so that you don't have to guess or use something that you would use in the kitchen. This thing cost me $1.45 at my local hardware store. Just pick up a handful. When mixing herbicides into tanks, I don't think I've ever mixed one up without putting some water in the tank first, and then putting the products in there, and then topping it off with water, and then adding the surfactant last. Once you add the surfactant, then you can, of course, you put the top back on, and then you shake it up really good. It's really simple. You don't really want to put the surfactant in first because spraying the water in there, it's going to foam up all over the place. I'm doing like 0.4 ounce of this stuff. A chug like this is going to last forever at that rate. Now, a couple more important tips for applying this sort of stuff. You want to do this on clear days. It shouldn't be really cold. It should be at least 60 degrees. Today, we're borderline 70 degrees. Weeds should be actively growing, which means your soil temperatures need to be warm enough. The leaf material, like I said before, shouldn't have been recently cut. Give it at least 2 days, if not more. I haven't cut mine in like 10 days. And then once you apply the herbicides, you don't want it to rain or irrigate on it right away. Wait at least 24 hours. You don't want to mow the area within the next 48 hours or so. Wait at least a couple days after application before you run over it with the mower. And you literally want the weeds to be healthy when you apply. That means it can't be drought stressed. So this area of the lawn back there, I watered it nice and heavy. It was like 2 to 3 days ago. There's plenty of soil moisture, so the weeds are healthy. If it's not going to be raining within the next week or so after you apply, make sure that you give some irrigation to keep soil moisture, but don't do it within those first 24 hours. Wait till days 2, 3, 4 to apply some irrigation to the lawn to keep soil moisture. That helps these herbicides actually kill the weeds. If you're going to take the time to buy these products and apply these products, make sure that the conditions are as good as possible so that you actually get a complete kill. Here we are, Friday, March 22nd, in the early afternoon. Everything is fully dry, at least the leaves are fully dry. We've got soil moisture. Soil temperatures right now are 65 degrees. The only thing I'm going to have to be careful about is overspraying into the neighbor's lawn. They do have some kikuyu over there, and I don't want to damage their kikuyu. And I'm also going to have to protect these artichoke plants with some plastic because I don't want to accidentally spray herbicide on artichokes that we might potentially pick and eat. Look at that one. Delicious. Another little thing. I don't like my cats to be outside when I spray. Nor would I let my kids be out while I'm spraying. I like these gloves. Disposable nitrile gloves. Prop 65 compliant approved, the box says. I don't know if they're the best gloves, but I like them a lot. Let's go spray the bushy stuff over there. I'm going to spray it all down to kill it. And the sidewalk will be twice as big. All right, I got a tiny little bit left here in my tank. So I'm going to take it back over and do a last little skim coat over the section of my nicer lawn over by my driveway to get rid of it because I got the exact amount of product necessary for this area. So I want to use it all. All right, that last little bit that's in there comes out like as a real, almost like a fog. So if you want to be really safe, you don't ever spray that last little bit out. Depressurize the chamber, and then you can open it up. There's still going to be residue of product in there. So at this point, you're going to go ahead and fill it back up with water so that you can dilute it heavily and then put it out on the edge of your property somewhere that is safe. If you want to go the extra mile, then you got yourself a tank cleaner, you put that in there. Most people don't do that. But man, it's a good practice. All right, now it's all done. I'm going to let that plastic over there sit outside for a bit If there's anything on it, it will dry off, and that plastic is going in the trash. I'm not going to reuse that. Herbicides like this, don't expect them to work in a couple days. Some herbicides on some plants, some weeds, you will literally see them dying within a few days. Never expect it. I always wait 3 weeks before I give an ultimate, yeah, it worked, or it didn't work. A lot of times it's going to be clear as day way before 3 weeks happens. And then I'll do an ultimate result shot on day 21. Roughly 3 weeks from today would be somewhere around 10th, 12th, 13th, something like that. Okay, 21 full days has passed. It's April 12th. Let's go take a look at the Kentucky bluegrass section over there, see if we can find any clover. I already know that there's no clover, but I'm going to go show you. All right, artichokes are still looking good, though they're starting to get a little bit wind-blown. We've eaten a couple of them, and they are delicious. But as we look down, there's nothing. There's just literally nothing. Some of the brown that we're seeing in here is drought stress. I haven't run the irrigation out here in, well, the whole time. We've gotten rain to a small extent a couple times, but over the past 14 days, I haven't irrigated once. So I'm going to have to get some water on this. We're supposed to get rain tomorrow. Doing a little leveling project. A new video will be out on that soon. Let's go take a look at the crazy patch over here so that I can give you the, I don't know, let's call it the dramatic reveal. That's what I said earlier 3 weeks ago. Look how brown that is. There is, however, a tinge of green in the area. And as we get closer, you're going to notice that all of the green in the area is not clover. There's some miscellaneous grasses growing up and some other kinds of weeds. We got some Poa annua in here that has a bit of green. Like, for instance, this has Poa annua. That's an annual bluegrass. Most of it, honestly, is Poa annua. There's some more Poa. But when you start looking at all of these, look at this. This is what the clover was. It's everywhere. And as we get into something like this, this is a completely different weed altogether. You have to do some weed identification. Oh, no. Look at that. All right. That is burr clover. Still got the burr attached to it. That one didn't die all the way. Nevertheless, virtually everything did die. This was an extreme case where everything was widely overgrown. So there certainly was probably some young plants lower in the profile, lower in that bushiness profile that didn't get hit by the spray. So I guess that's not that surprising. Depending on how bushy and overgrown your clover is, I suppose you might have to come back over it a few weeks later based on this, simply because if you're spraying stuff up here, anything below it isn't getting hit, isn't getting touched by the herbicide. Everything on top is going to die, and then everything underneath may die. And in this case, not all of it did. But, like for instance, that's not clover at all. These are more of these little succulent style. I'd have to identify that by name. I don't know it off the top of my head. This definitely looks damaged from the concoction, but over here, this is what it would look like because I didn't spray over here. So, these little succulent weeds. What is that, spurge, maybe? One of the biggest takeaways from this video is the fundamental, knowing the fundamental reasons for things that happen in the lawn is really important. When we put fertilizer down, why does it work? When do we put it down to make it work better? Same thing goes for weed prevention. Same thing goes for weed kill. Same thing goes for dealing with bugs and insects in the lawn. Every single thing that happens in a lawn, the timing makes an enormous difference. That is a fundamental piece of information that you guys need to understand. If you'd like to learn more about the fundamentals of lawn care, I've got this video right up here. Within the video that you just watched, I talked a lot about the fundamentals of killing weeds. Certainly I talked about clover, but a lot of those fundamentals apply to all forms of weeds that you're attacking. Watch this video next and go deeper down that rabbit hole.